Hello, YouTube. It's me. I'm back. I hope you're well. I've just started doing a video and the dogs started to kick off already, so let's see how this goes. I wanted to follow through after the last video I did about squaring of the circle. Now, look, these are all just off the cuff videos, not rehearsed, and I'm sorry it's not well scripted at the moment. I'm just gonna keep repeating myself though, and so it's just a general chat. I'm gonna check in with you probably daily for a while, keep parroting away about these first three basic principles where we're at the moment. So I'm going to do another edited video and move the story forward as well. But in the meantime, I'm going to do these unscripted videos talking about where we're at, right? And so I'm talking about a creation myth, a cosmology, a geometry cosmology. So it's a geometry creation myth, right? So the first three proportions and shapes and their correspondences to our creation. So this is a cosmology that's been done. It was done in antiquity. The origins of it are unknown, really, lost in the sands of time. Excuse my pun. So this is a vid. I'm going to just play now the first part of a video that I made, which was an AI video. So excuse me, and let me play this.
In the Genesis cosmology, the first three stages follow the classical development of geometry, beginning with the point, line, and circle, and continuing with the square and triangle. The Creator conceives of the universe, draws the cosmic circle to define its limits.
So this is where we're at, right, guys? In our creation myth that I'm talking about in these videos, we start off by drawing. Like, one of our investigations is this creation of a cosmology, right? We've discussed the Vesica Pisces. That's another line of the same inquiry, but for now we're going to stick with the three proportions, the first three proportions in geometry that are important to our creation cosmology, our creation myth, right? So the literature, there's lots of literature in different branches of investigation, architecture, art, and so forth, and mathematics, geometry. Just for starters, that's just that's just a few of the branches that you can get into this investigation. We're talking about geometry. So the first proportion and shape you make in geometry is a circle, right? And the circle is the creator, the creator, the architect, great architect, God, Allah, the great spirit, whatever you want to call it, right? And so there's this. The origin is it has a religious context. But it also has a scientific one. A cosmology is a scientific way of explaining the universe, and so in geometry, the creation is the circle, and that circle is perfect. It's on the plane. It's a two-dimensional representation of a sphere, right? So the number that corresponds, one of the numbers that corresponds to the sphere circle, is number one. That's number one corresponds to that. The shape of it is a circle. It's one. It's everything. Everything is contained within the circle of the creation. It's perfect. It's a perfect thing, right? All other geometry fits inside of a sphere as well. So number one And the ratio that's connected to this shape that's important, and it's our first ratio in geometry, is pi. So that's our first ratio in our cosmology. And our first shape is the circle. Now, in the creation myth, the creator brought order to that circle by adding a square. So if you evenly split that circle into 4, you naturally develop the ratio or size of a square defined by these 2 axes. And these axes, 2 axes, are, the center of that is the universal pole. It's the center of creation, right? So the great geometer swings his compass, creates a circle to the universe, his creation, and then he wants to bring order. So the shape of the square represents the creator's heavenly order, and the number that represents the shape of the square is number 4, right? So let me move on.
And brings it to order by adding it 2 axes. He is then able to draw a square within the circle. This introduces the first 2 ratios in geometry. The first is pi, the ratio between the circle's diameter and its circumference, and the second is the square root 2, by which the side of the square is related to its diagonal.
So as we've discussed, right, a square, if you imagine the side or length, the width or height of a square as a unit of 1, right? So if you draw a diagonal from point to point from a square, that's the square root 2 ratio. And that's our second important ratio that comes along in our creation myth, right? So first of all, we've had the circle. So that, number 1 represents a circle. We'll get on to 2 and 3, but for now, we're talking about the creation of the square. So this is about, order, the 4 directions of the compass. And number 4, its corresponding shape in geometry, is the square. So there's a relationship here mathematically with the proportions and the sizes of these shapes, right? So we're also able to construct a second inner circle now, right? And that's the next stage of our creation. So we've introduced the square and the circle, and their union is pivotal to, the ancient temple builders always incorporated the square and the circle. The square represents, in geometry, it's a 2-dimensional representation of the cube. Cube represents, or square represents, the earth, and the circle represents the heavens. So the union of the square and the circle has a geometrical mathematical relationship in its proportions. And our study is about the canon of proportions. This is a natural development in geometry. It's a cosmology. So these basic shapes construct this cosmology, this plan, this diagram of our universe, right? So we've got to the point of the square and the circle and the 2 first proportions or ratios in our creation, which is pi and the square root 2 ratio.
The area of this circle is half that of the original circle. So in this way, he has divided the universe into 2 equal halves, upper and lower, representing the light and darkness and all the apparent dualities in nature. The circumference of the inner circle provides the firmament by which the Creator separates the waters above from the waters below. Within the lower circle, the firmament, the Creator constructs 2 triangles overlapping to form a hexagon. Thereby he introduces the third square root 3 ratio in geometry.
So as I've repeated many times now, right, our third ratio involves the two triangles from the Vesica Pisces. Within the Vesica Pisces, the union from two circles. So if you think like one way of describing it is the marriage of two circles, a union. So that shape within the Vesica Pisces, that fish shape, a name for that is Piscean vessel, fish vessel's another word. Some people, in a geometrical terms, it's like a womb. It creates the rhombus, that diamond shape, the classical diamond shape of two equilateral triangles back to back. So naturally in geometry, part of our creation, we're going to incorporate the two equilateral triangles. This equilateral triangle, tetra, there's a connection between the tetra and the equilateral triangle. Equilateral triangle is pivotal to the development of structured geometry in the polygon. It's the first polygon. We're going to use two, like, to describe the upper and lower aspects of that Vesica Pisces. We're going to use both of those triangles in our creation. If you slide the two triangles together over each other, you create a hexagon. It's a natural development in geometry, and it's a natural development in a cosmology as well. So then we're introducing with the, by adding the two equilateral triangles from the rhombus, we gain the hexagon, and we can construct by the intersection points from the inner part of the star, from the hexagram, and as a hexagon we can create another circle, right? So that's important. There are natural relationships now between our central circle, its outer ring, and then the third ring, the outside ring. We now have three circles, right? And the geometry of those three circles contains the geometry of our three proportions. So pi is important. The square root 2 and the square root 3 are the first stages in our creation myth, and the corresponding shapes to those ratio proportions are the circle, pi, square root 2 ratio, which is the square, and then the square root 3 ratio, which is the rhombus, which is two equilateral triangles.
He draws a circle through the 6 corners of the hexagon. This central circle represents the sublunary world of our existence. The ring outside it is the heavens, and the outer ring is the zodiac, the realm of the 12 gods. Stages in the creation story: Genesis and Plato.
So this is where I'm going to leave this video today. What we have just gone through is Genesis in the Bible, with added commentary from Plato in his book Timaeus, his writings about Timaeus, right? And it's it's the creation myth. There's a common origin. Plato was writing about it, it's debatable, right? If the Hebrews, well, look, in my opinion is like Plato suggests, like it came from it was an older book, right? And they, Plato was referring to an older book, and it wasn't the Hebrews. So, that's what we've just been through, the creation myth in the Bible with added commentary from Plato. It's a natural development of cosmology, this. Those three first proportions of pi and the circle, square root 2 ratio, which is which is our cube or square, and then the square root 3 ratio, which is those two triangles. It's from nature, really. It's natural development of geometry. I wanted to clarify that. Just in go. That's a video I made. We've just watched a part of a AI video I've made recently over the last few weeks, and I've taken a snippet of that. Thought I would add some of my commentary to it. Now we're basically all on the same page. Speak to you soon. Have a powerful day. Bye for now.